this is such a cool movie and one that we get to see a little bit of a different side for you. So you got to be excited for this to come out, right?
Yeah, I mean, it was fun. It was fun having kind of an action character and, getting to shoot a few guys. Uh,
It's never so
for once,
bad.
usually I'm the guy getting shot.
Right.
So nice. It was nice to be on the other side of the gun.
That's so cool. Well, do you have a particular moment that stood out to you as to where you're just kind of looking around going, this is great. I get paid to do this.
Oh, well, I mean, just like the opening sequence of the film where, I kind of like take out my would-be assassins. Spoiler alert, sorry. Uh, but but yeah, it was a lot of fun. And uh, the director, James Bamfield, he's a former stunt guy himself, so he really relishes in the action sequences. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, and of course, you get scripts all the time, and you have to choose what was it about this that stood out where you're just like, no, you know what, I got to do this.
Well, I mean, for one, I don't get a chance to play, these types of characters very often, so that was a plus for me. And then also the opportunity to work with John Voight, who's a great actor and a legend, and he was a really a fun guy to have on set. And yeah, it was just it I like, I like the simple nature of the film, and I like that in the script. It, kind of gets directly, it doesn't make a lot of bones about what it is. And you know, and 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 those kinds of films are entertaining to watch.
Yeah. Well, of course, John Voight is one of our favorite guests on the shows. Always has great stories. So you probably have some good memories on the set of just like sitting around listening to those amazing classic Hollywood stories, right?
Well, yeah, and he certainly does that, but he was he's very religious, and he's very
Yeah.
into biblical verse and stuff. And because my character uh is also like that, uh, all of my conversations with him were about like you know Old Testament and scripture and stuff, and different quotes that, hey, what would be a better one? And then he would go into this. And but he was really, I mean, I think it's great that, in his 80s, he's still busy all the time, and we had a lot of night shoots, and he was right there with us. So yeah, it's great.
It's amazing. Well, people have been looking up to you for years and thinking, see, that's what I want to do. But you make it look easy. So, what kind of advice do you give to those kids that want to follow in your footsteps?
Well, make it look easy.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think you know, right now I would advise them, not to pursue this, just because the state of the business right now is so chaotic. And I don't think, I think that we're in a state of change, and so everybody's waiting for the shoe to drop, and everybody's afraid to finance things. And uh, so that makes it difficult for me to look, advise young people to, oh yeah, pursue a life in the arts, uh, because I think people, you know, to a large extent, um, they've kind of passed the arts off as something that is sort of frivolous and unnecessary, uh, because times are hard, right? And you get rid of the things that you don't absolutely need.
Mhm.
And but I think eventually you come to the understanding that as humans, we need stories and we need art, and it's probably the oldest thing, besides like singing and drumming, I think uh, stories and pictures and music, all that stuff is very important, and it's all been devalued
Hmm.
last 15, 20 years, right? Like starting with Napster and, you know, to where we are now with sort of, oh, who are these ridiculous people that are making all of this cash and, you know, living a life of seeming luxury?
Yeah.
Kind of like, you know, we've lampooned ourselves into this sort of, you know, jester state where they can kind of say, it's the fool, right? But, in history, the fools were actually pretty smart. Uh,
Mm.
these days, I don't know.
Yeah, that's true. Oh, so well said. My co-host, who I'm about to go film with, Drew Pearson, caught the Hail Mary, went in the Hall of Fame, one of our great Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so he wanted me. He said, "You have to ask him his Hail Mary moment, which is that moment in your life or career where you just had to go for it and it worked out for you." What do you suppose that was?
Oh, well, much respect to Drew Pearson. That's a name that I grew up with in my household because my dad was a big fan.
Ah, I love that.
But yeah, I would say that would be when I auditioned for, and I eventually got the part for Legends of the Fall.
Yeah,
Because
absolutely.
that kind of that put me. It was a successful enough film and a visible enough film that it put me in a category of young adult, which was something that I had had a hard time until that moment getting myself into.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And part of that is that success mindset. And we talk about that on the show. Is there something you tell yourself that kind of keeps you on the right path, even when things are tough, or maybe like this when the night shoots are rough?
Yeah, it just from I grew up in South Texas and, it was get back on the horse because, that's the the first and oldest lesson I remember, it's like get back on right after, get back on and keep going. And so that's kind of my mantra.
Yeah, I love it. Of course, this one is meant for entertainment, and that's where we're supposed to get out of it. But I think there's some things being said here too. Is there something that you hope people will discuss besides, "Oh, that was a fun movie"?
Well, I mean, you know, I I hate to I hate to kind of put that out there for people, but um, I think what crime doesn't pay, I guess.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, well, it's also just about, I think it's about sovereignty, right? Or sovereignty, excuse me. Uh, it's about, kind of being I guess, legally and morally justified in defending what's yours, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, after this, I can't wait to see what you have next for us. What do you have coming up?
Well, I don't have a lot going on right now. I've been kind of trying to get some work that I've written produced, and so I'm busy with that, and I'm hoping that I'll have some news uh, in the not too distant future of projects on the horizon.
Ah, that's so cool. Well, it's been such a amazing career and life, and starting with when we all saw you with ET. So and
Yeah.
I'm sure people say that all the time, but I guess doesn't always get old, right?
No, it's great, I mean, it's really easily, it's really easy to be forgotten in this sort of business. Uh-oh,
Hmm.
attack pug is on.
I love the attack pug.